We are live with our first of four semi-state hangouts. We're going four nights in a row, so you get to see our smiling faces. Well, at least mine and Mike's for 4 straight nights. I can't have a better week than that, I don't think. For semi-states tonight, we're going over the Newcastle semi-state. Some of the probably most brutal draws, I think, overall as far as matchups of state qualifiers and placers. We have Howard Cotty. He is our resident Newcastle rankings guru. He's right there.
Hello.
Mike Reiser. He's our resident rankings guru who's kind of sweating because he thinks his rankings don't look very good right now after seeing the semi-state draws. And Ed Pendowski, he is here. He's our special guest. That is his picture. That's the amount of hair he has on his head. He's kind of laying low. He's hiding out from people since he still owes me some advertising money.
Hey, I sent that check.
And then one of our best writers we have on staff, Cameron Drury. He stays over the Westfield area. He likes that area, watching some good wrestling, so he's going to offer his insight. We were just talking about some of the brutal draws. The first one is the McKinney and LS matchup, battle of 6th and 8th place finishers from last year. Howard,
Eldred and Ellis, right?
Yeah, Eldred.
Ellis.
Ellis and Eldred. What do you guys think about that matchup? Other than the cringeworthy, just how when you saw it, you just had to cringe. How'd that come apart or come about, and kind of what do you guys think it's going to go? We'll start with you, Howard.
Well, I knew Nick was going to be behind the 8 ball when it came to the finals with McKinney, although he did close the gap. I think sectionals was like 9-0, and he put on a heck of a match against McKinney in the regional finals. I think it was 1-0. So he closed that gap. But obviously the loser had that 33.3 or whatever it is chance of drawing Eldred. And unfortunately, Nick drew Eldred. So, but I think, if I remember right, last year at semi-state in the semis, Ellis headlocked Eldred, I think, and Eldred ended up injury default in that match, but came back and wrestled his 3rd and 4th place match. But I actually have Nick winning that match against Eldred. I think it was 5-3 earlier in the year. I didn't see the match, but I'm just going on gut feeling with Nick, but that's going to be a heck of a match. I mean, that's obviously going to go either way.
Yeah, definitely. That's a tough one. They were in the semifinals last year, and Mike, any comments? I know that it was a close match. It was like I was there. I just was on the opposite side of the gym. It was like a 4-3 match or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think both those guys, have a tendency to kind of wrestle a lot of guys close, and especially the tougher guys. Like Howie was saying with the McKinney match, it was 1-0. I know Eldred's had some tight ones. I know he was tight with Dombrowski at the Trikoff, and so I'd be shocked if it was a high-scoring match. I think you can wrestle that match 10 times and have 10 different winners, half the time winners, different times.
Yeah,
so
definitely. It's going to be a good one. Any comments, Cameron, on that?
Yeah, Ellis came into semi-state last year kind of not at his peak, so I think a lot of people didn't even have him in that match against Eldred. He pinned somebody, I can't remember who it was, but he pinned, I believe, a higher seed to get to the Eldred match, to get to win his ticket match, and so he kind of caught fire at Newcastle last year, and he definitely caught Eldred, and I think Eldred is kind of emotional a little bit. I think, gets down sometimes, and that can work against him. Then again, at state last year, he was a 4 seed and beat the top seed out of the Merrillville semi-state because he was a new start, new slate. So kind of depends on how things are going, leading up to that point. Eldred's obviously really tough on his feet. He's got credentials to show that. Ellis is he's really well coached. He's opportunistic. He'll headlock you in a second, and he won't let you go if he gets you. So yeah, I think it is close to a pick 'em. I probably tend to go with Eldred, and maybe there's a bias there. I don't know, but I like Ellis too. He's the Southside Strangler. So yeah, I think whoever wins that has a good shot at placing at state too. So, and they actually have a good shot at even winning the semi-state. McKinney is tough. He's got to get by Chandler Moore, which is easier said than done too. And obviously he'll be favored, but Moore is no pushover, and he's capable of pulling an upset there. I think. I mean, I do expect McKinney to win that, but yeah, a lot of different outcomes there, and what we were talking about before about this disparity in these brackets is those middle brackets with McKinney and Moore in one, and Eldred and Ellis in the other. It seems like those are two incredibly tough ones, and then the other two, I'm not going to badmouth any of the people in there by any means, but maybe a little less rigorous than those two. So may not get the four most outstanding wrestlers coming out of there, but doesn't mean they don't deserve it. And does anybody know the health of Nick Smith? He's injured in his match too, and from Lawrence North.
I know he's had some issues throughout the season, and it's something I don't know what I just know I've talked to the coaches, and he's one of those types that can it's something that will reoccur. I don't want to get into too many details, but
yeah, of course.
If he doesn't,
what his status would be, because he could easily punch his own ticket.
Yeah, he actually. I was just bringing that up. He's the one. Ellis was a 4 seed coming out of regional last year, and he beat Nick Smith in the first round. I was just looking that up. So yeah, we'll go through the brackets. Kind of ask everyone's opinion on the brackets, and let you guys talk about them. I mean, you guys know more about this area than I do, so we'll start out. I was gonna get a draw kit, and we were gonna draw, but I guess we'll just start. We'll start with 106. You got probably the first big matchup. You have Walenzek and Greeno should be a good one. Andrew Black, Sammy Fair, and then that's pretty much it. Any other matches you guys are looking forward to? We'll start with you, Cameron, and then we'll work our way back. Any comments on who you think's gonna come out and dominate? You have Keon Murphy, who has been on fire, but he's also can get beat by anyone, it seems sometimes.
Yeah, I think you pretty much accurately described it there. I think Murphy's the favorite. Fair is probably next on that rung, but Fair has an awfully tough ticket match against unbeaten Black. I kind of went back and forth with that one, but I think Fair has just faced the obviously tougher schedule, and but realistically that one could go either way. Struder is ranked 18th, and he'll face he could face Rose for his ticket match. Struder's solid. He's not as flashy maybe as some of these other guys, but I expect him to come out of that pod. And Fair, Walenzek and Greeno, that's another one that could go either way. I mean, Greeno has 2 losses all year, and Southmont wrestles a pretty challenging schedule. Not Cathedrals maybe, but he's just tough. He's a senior. Yeah, that one could go either way. I mean, I guess on paper maybe Walenzek's the favorite, but tough. Those are 2 real tough matches, Black and Fair and Walenzek and Greeno. But yeah, Murphy and Struder I think are the 2 most solid picks, at least as far as making it through their group.
Any comments there, Ed? What do you see at 106? Anyone jump out at you?
Yeah. We always look at semi-state and trying to pick winners, and it's the guys, you got to have a body, and you've got to have a system that's going to help you compete. But there's also, when you get to this level, it's just an attitude that says I'm going to win. And Murphy did such a good job last year. Wallenczak is a freshman. You come in and you go, hey, is this guy going to be able to get through? Greeno's a senior. The Centerville kid's a senior. Vaughn's a junior. These aren't, any newbies to the sport of wrestling, but, Coach McGinley does a good job at Cathedral. Many times you see Cathedral guys just find ways to win. And, the next bracket down with Black and Fair and Menon is a great big 6-pounder that came out of the North Montgomery Regional. And, I'd say Black's a freshman. It's his first time to Newcastle. He's from a little bitty school, but I told, the Shenandoah coaching staff out of Connorsville, who the hell are these little guys that are just wrestling like this is their business and they get after it. And so, I don't know if those guys are going to be afraid to wrestle. And that's definitely not going to be the case of what we saw out at Connorsville. These brackets are, it's competitive and it's semi-state time, and it's the guy who's making good choices and the guy that believes he's going to win is going to usually have success.
Definitely. Mike, any comments?
Yeah. I mean, when I seen Fair at the Harvest Classic, I was like, man, that guy I think is going to be a state champ. Like, he wrestled Hassan Johnson from Illinois, from Brother Rice, who was a state qualifier. I think he was a match away from Medellin last year, and which is tough, in that side in Illinois. And he had beat Kavanaugh in them last year, and Sammy had beat Kavanaugh, and he's dropped a couple. So I haven't seen Andrew Black. I still kind of side with Sammy Fair there. I think Gavin Rose, even though he's third coming out here, I thought he was really good. He had a really good Connorsville. He placed ahead of Strudel there, and he had some big wins. He had beat Ben Streeter, who I know is pretty tough, the state qualifier. Placed ahead of Jeffrey Davis, who was a semifinalist last year. I think Murphy can be his own worst enemy out there, but to me, I think that he's pretty much been towards the top outside of the loss to Sammy and the loss to Mills. I like him. So I like Murphy probably on the other side, Sammy, Fair. And I like Lucas to come out of there. He's wrestled some really tough guys. 7 losses out of there. I know he's beat Sammy Fair going into high school. He's beat Sammy twice this year. So I like him to be third, and I like Gavin Rose for 4.
Howard, any comments?
Yeah, I got Murphy winning it. But like you said, he is his own worst enemy. But I think Tante will have him ready to go. He's last few weeks I've watched him wrestle. He's cut out a lot of his mistakes. Instead of using his strength, he's actually using a little technique now. He's got to be the strongest 106-pounder I've ever seen. And that people tend to got him in trouble a lot of times. He'd get put on his back and think he was going to outmuscle everybody from his back. But I'd say him. I got Wallenczak getting past Greeno, but I think that's going to be a good match. I got Sammy getting past Black, which I think that's the match of the day at 106, at least in that ticket round. And then Struder over Rose, but Rose is pretty solid. He's good with the legs. He could definitely. I wouldn't be shocked if he got in the top 4, like Mike said. But I got Murphy and Fair in the finals. Wallenczak, Takeworth.
You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, also, I think Black wrestling, being undefeated and all the stuff that went on early in the season, I think can also, kind of picture into him being extra motivated, or kind of, you can go that route also.
Yeah, definitely. Should be a fun weight class. We'll move on to 113. We'll start with Howard. What's your big ones? I mean, I see Slivka. How do you pronounce it, Mike?
Slivka?
Slivka. Slivka near the big one. Another 2. Kanan Schaefer. He was semi-state champ last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Skylar Turner. And
Yeah, he was.
Picoro, whatever. Can't pronounce any of those Carmel kids' names.
Picararo.
Jeez.
How do you pronounce it? Picarano? Must be Italian.
I think it's Polish.
Polish.
Polish. Okay. All
Um,
right. I mean, Slipka and Sonny Neer have. I've watched their two matches. Sonny beat him at Team State in a good match. Slipka's a good, solid freshman. When I come into his own the last couple of years. I got well when they wrestled in the duel at Cathedral and Perry in the duel. It was I think an overtime match. Yeah, it was an overtime match. Sonny losing it in overtime. But right now I got that's a great that top bracket's brutal between those two and then Schaefer and Turner. So I got Neer and Turner making it out in the top bracket, and then sorry Ed, I don't know much about your guy, but I went with is it Lowry from Shenandoah, but I got him in Picarno, whatever his name is, and then White coming out of that bottom bracket.
yeah. Mike, how about you? What are you looking at here?
I think that first round match of Schaefer, or that ticket round of Schaefer and Turner is going to be.
Got Neer, Turner, Lowry, White.
Oh, sorry, Howie. Yeah, Sonny Neer and Slivka, I feel like both those kids are so good on top that could be like one of those matches where it's just going to come down to the coin flip, and whoever can. I mean, even I think that's kind of how it went at IHSWCA too. They were very much, very controlling, and every time I've seen Neer, he's good with the legs. Slivka's good with the legs. I got Slivka, Turner, the Picacoro.
Okay, wait a minute. His name is Pecoraro.
Carrara.
Aurora.
Oh, you understand? My phone's going to start ringing. His mom's going to call me all pissed off. Nobody says his name right. It's
I bet your name's another time.
Pecoraro.
Pecoraro.
And if we've learned anything, it's upset Italian women. They're going to get you.
We just call him Dominic.
I thought you just said he was Polish.
I was lying.
Yeah. I don't know. Turner and Schaefer, I think it's going to be really good. Schaefer looked really good at IndianaMat. Obviously, he was the semi-state champ last year. He beat Triana at IndianaMat, so I know that really pushed him to the top. His only loss early on was at like 26 or I want to say 26, the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turner's a beast, though. I mean, Turner's a big 13, mean 13.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one. I mean, that's another one of those that just make you cringe. Obviously, there's a couple different options for that one, but Ed, what's your take on this weight with Picacaro?
Here it comes. I'm going to forward these emails to you. No, there's a lot of experience in here. I think Skylar Turner's been in the state semifinals twice, I believe. But I think we all sat here last year and went, who the hell is the little guy from South Dearborn? And then he goes and he wins the semi-state last year at 106. And so, that's a match that I'm excited to see happen. I've seen Schaefer wrestle, I think, 5 times. And just from last year's semi-state and the state tournament. And so, that's going to be an exciting one to watch. The tough match on top with Slivka and Neer, those guys have got an awful lot of experience, and they're not going to go full start their way to losing a match. Those guys are going to go compete all the way through. And, Alex White's always had good tournaments coming through this one, and so, watching him compete should be, pretty exciting. I think, part of this at Newcastle semi-state, there's a couple things that are awesome. One, it's a hell of a lot easier to sit down than it was those 11 years I had to sit in Maryville's gym. The other part of the equation is, after the ticket round to sit down and watch some wrestling of four guys that are going to the state tournament. Those are really important matches to set for the state finals the next weekend of how they finish. But it's great wrestling to watch. And so, I think this is another weight class where you go all the way through of, a couple of those nail-biter matches after they win. You go, holy cow, that was a great match. That guy's going to state. And then it's, okay, well, your chair's up because we got to go for 2 more rounds of these guys beating the dog snot out of each other. And so that's always entertaining to meatheads like me that just like to watch wrestling.
Yeah, I was looking at these, just kind of looking at the brackets, Cathedral, Perry, Warren Central, they're all 3 probably going to be in the talk next week for a state title. And losing one there, I mean, these are, obviously those 3 guys are pretty tough and they're going to be relied on for some points. It's interesting to see that could, have an effect on the state title, who we think is going to win state next week. I mean, Cathedral loses a guy like Slivka that is a potential placer, Near's potential placer. Obviously, Turner's been there twice. I mean, that's huge points that they're losing if they get knocked out in the ticket round, and not only just for team semi-state, but also for state, next week. So just some things I'm looking at from, I'm looking ahead of the game. Cameron, what's your take if they haven't already taken all your points?
Yeah, I was going to say, just to kind of echo everybody else's comments, I mean, obviously the Slivka and Near is a nasty ticket round match. Schaefer and Turner, I think, could be one of the matches of the day. And, I think most people are going to probably side with Turner just because he's, produced on the bigger stages. But that is, to me, that is almost a pure 50-50. And Schaefer could definitely surprise. As Ed said, last year he just really kind of he shocked me, and I don't think I was the only one, just in how good he wrestled. And then at state he kind of looked a little different, but that's kind of how this works. Is some guys, just absolutely unload at Newcastle, and then a little flat at state, or vice versa. So, but when I was going through this bracket, obviously I circled those 2 we just mentioned, but I did also circle the Pecoraro-Lori match because this is one of those classic matches of the gaudy record. Lori has a really nice win-loss record. Pecoraro, not as nice, but you got to look at the details. And Carmel obviously wrestles a really, really ghastly schedule. A lot of real tough opponents in there, so there's going to be some losses in there. And he's wrestling really well. Regionally, he definitely was the best guy there. Hudson kind of screwed himself a little bit with the legal slam. So, it would have been nice maybe to see those 2 go in the finals, but didn't work out that way, and Pecoraro took advantage, and I think he's got a real good shot of sliding into state. And I think a lot of those people out east think Lori's a shoe-in, and he does have a nice record, but, give me the brutal schedule and, sort of peaking at the right time. And that's what I'm going with here. And White, I think, has been real solid at Newcastle. I think he'll win the weight, but real competitive, and at least a couple state placers here, I think.
Okay, we'll move on to 120. The big one, Ethan Smiley went from a 3 or a 2 to champ last week, I think, or did he went? He looks pretty good.
A 3 to a champ.
Yeah, he went from a 3 to a champ because I know he had a tough first-round match. It's kind of a wide-open weight here. There's no, Bocock, who has the state experience, and then past that, I do not believe anyone else has state experience. Who does? Oh, Smiley does.
Yeah.
And Cameron Deep, he went out last week early. I know he was a previous state qualifier, but he replaced her last year, but he had an injury that kind of set him out for most of the season. Any comments? What's your comments on this one, Cameron? I know it's probably this one looks like you're going to draw it out of a hat for most of the quarter brackets.
Ranked wrestlers, I'd say in terms of high-end firepower, this is probably maybe one of the weaker weight classes, and I say that in quotations because obviously all these kids are good. I think Bocock is the favorite, but Culp is pretty darn good, and Culp could easily win this weight. I think most of the weight, or 3 of the 4, I think you got a pretty strong favorite to advance. You got Bocock, Smiley, and Culp. And then the one I circled was Castro and Dirty. Dirty's got to get by McMillan first match, which he's tough kid. He's the one that knocked Deep out last week, and Dirty's beat him this year. I think, as we mentioned earlier, they've split. Castro and Dirty have split this year, so that one should be really exciting. To me, that's what Ticket Round is all about. Is two guys who are both very good and have some history and kind of split their matches, and it's like that's way more interesting to me than seeing Chad Red just destroy the field. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's awesome to see too, but Castro and Dirty are the type of matches I really like, where no one can say for sure who's going to win that match, but it should be good matches. But ultimately, I think wins the way. Doesn't, it's probably Culp. So that's my picks for this way.
Ed, how you seen this one play out?
I think there's a lot of experience in the top three brackets, that's for sure. Bocock's had his share of wins, and he's definitely a guy that he's so tough to beat because he just thinks he's going to win every match he steps out on the mat to. Smiley's wrestling well and has an amazing system and can get after people and can make matches bad for you. And Culp's got a bunch of wrestling in him. Regal's got some lineage in him where he's pretty good coming out of a program. And the bottom bracket is, I think you guys said it best, it's who's going to come out and go compete. McMillan showed last week he can go beat people at any time and at any place. It doesn't matter what the score is. I mean, his athleticism and coming out of Coach Spencer's room, he's a threat at all times. And Castro's super hot and he's wrestling well this time of year. And so we'll see what happens as those guys come out. I think whoever comes out of that quarterfinal is going to deserve to be there, that's for sure, because there's not an easy one.
Yep. Mike, any comments on 120?
Yeah, I feel like overall this is a really even weight. I like a lot of guys here. I think like Bocock, obviously with the state experience. I like Garrett Walton. I had him ranked at 106 early on. Smiley always solid. I always feel like he's really good. Jonas Schilling had a big win against John Moran at the Hanover Central Super Bowl. I know he's a semi-state qualifier last year at 26 coming down. Pugsley from Shenandoah. Shenandoah's doing a good job. Slivka would have been a Shenandoah kid if he wasn't at Cathedral. So, you could have 4 guys right in there. Braggle also is very good. Culp's wrestled really well this whole year. Isaac Castro's a guy that when I seen him at the Trikoff as a freshman, I said, man, this guy's pretty bad. And I think he got better than I ever thought he would be. And I think that just how far he's come along is crazy, because I think that he has a really good shot at placing. I know he had a good win over Culp right before the state series. But that's a tough bottom bracket. McMillan's had some good wins. I know he had some good wins over Clayton. He had a good Marion County where he lost to Castro, and Jerdy also, has had some really good wins. So this, to me, this is a really even bracket. You guys might see kind of a weaker weight. I see a very even weight where someone can get hot and make a run and maybe get a medal that maybe 4 weeks ago they didn't think would have medaled.
Definitely. Howie, any comments?
Yeah, just kind of hit where a lot of people hit, but this really is a weight class. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if one of the guys that gets knocked out couldn't actually win it in the ticket round, like McMillan. I got Bocock, Smiley, Culp, and Castro all making it out, but with Bocock and Culp in the finals and Bocock winning it, but Castro's beat Culp. He beat him at the MAC fairly recent. Culp's, he's tough. He's come along. Castro, he'll have a couple good wins, and then he'll have a not so good loss. But I think Bocock could probably mainly, he's the one definite, and him and Smiley at the top, I think, and Culp. But that bottom bracket, there's 3 guys that could easily be right there, and they could actually get hot and actually win the darn thing. But that's, Castro's, he's beat McMillan, Jardy. He's been beat by Jardy. He's beaten Culp. He's been beat by Culp. So I guess it's whoever gets hot. It's going to be a fun weight class there at Newcastle.
Definitely, I agree. That one's going to be fun. Go from a wide open weight class. We're going to have 126. You have basically you're going to have Braden Bailey and Austin Holmes are probably the ones that we're going to be talking about the most. We'll start with Mike this time. What are your comments on 126? What do you see happening here?
I think a runner-up from another semi-state's going to be upset Friday night. You know, that's just one of those weights where that sucks because you can get a guy that maybe you have two semifinalists right there, both two-time semifinalists that you're going to draw Friday night. So being on the same side, you're going to have that in the semis. The other side, Joel McGee's had a great season, 38-1. His only loss is to Bailey. And Johnny Luz has had a great season, 46-1.
Who's his loss to? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, no, not off the top of my head. My source.
Mejia 15-8.
Yeah, my source from the Richmond Regional is no longer on the board. So you're going to create some tough matchups. I mean, Jack Serby's had a good season, but he kind of runs into Bailey, and Bailey's a buzzsaw, Holmes and Bailey was really close when they wrestled, a lot closer than I thought it was going to be because I had just seen Torres and Holmes, which was a little more lopsided, and Bailey and Holmes was a little bit or Holmes and Torres was lopsided, and then Torres and Bailey was a little further than I thought. So that matchup was really that's a problem for Bailey. He's a big, strong guy, and he's kind of long. Maybe he's not going to get caught up in some rolls a little bit. I think that would be a really good match.
Mm-hmm. We'll go to you, Ed. I know you have Eric Houston there. Didn't get the draw you exactly were hoping for, but looking at the weight, you probably didn't have you had much good luck when you got fourth there. How do you see that weight?
A bunch of guys in this bracket already. Holmes is the fastest of all the guys there. That son of a gun is quick. We spent a couple years trying to beat him, and we know where he's going, and we know where he comes from when he attacks there, and you can't take it out of play because the guy's so dang fast. I think Bailey's a guy that gets himself in bad positions when he wrestles, but he thinks he's going to win, and he keeps wrestling, and it's the guy's only, he lost 3 matches in his career?
Yep.
And so, I think anytime you get into this, the deeper and deeper you get into the state tournament series, you got guys that believe they can win, and there's one thing, you just watch Braden Bailey walk down the hallway, and that guy thinks he's going to win if he's got to wrestle Moses. And what a gift to have, and I mean we try to preach that into all our kids. McGee's I think the biggest of all of them. I mean that's just a big dude. He's athletic, and he's wrestling with confidence coming out of the top side of the bracket. And then you go with Dieter's kids from Franklin County. The guy's got a great record, and he's wrestling well, and he's beating some people bad. So wrestling's not like track where you go. This guy's won a bunch of matches out on the east side of the state, and it doesn't have big names to hang on the wall, but there's no time next to his 100-yard sprint to compare it to everybody else. So, these guys come through, and they might be able to put it on some people. And so, how this one turns out again, and this is another weight I'm going to watch it pretty close because it's just good wrestling from all through from the semifinals on.
Definitely, I agree. I know I saw Franklin County early in the season, and they're a smaller school. They might be 1A. They're either 1A or 2A, but they had some good kids. Lewis obviously was one of their better kids, but they well coached kids, and they obviously coming out of that area a little less heralded, but some good kids there. Cameron, what's your take on 26?
It kind of echoing everybody's comments again that this is a really favorite-driven bracket. Luckily, at least from some people's point of view, it kind of came down that each of the 4 favorites has has kind of their own little quadrant to deal with here, rather than all lumped together into two sections of the bracket. So I mean, I'll be very surprised actually if any of these four don't advance. Lewis, McGee, Bailey, and Holmes. That Bailey and Holmes semi should be good, and sometimes you got to throw past results out. I know Bailey's had Holmes' number, but at Newcastle, just I've seen strange things happen where guys beat guys that they've never beat, or you know, pull big upsets over guys that have historically had their number. But Bailey is probably one of the stronger favorites, and to me, this is one of the few brackets that kind of shaped up almost as if it was seeded.
Definitely. Howie, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, same kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any big surprises here until we get to the semis. I actually got loose making it to the finals over McGee. He wrestled. It was the off season, but he wrestled Cornelius Elliott. Pretty manhandled him. The freestyle, of course, it was a different style, but he pretty much manhandled on his feet against Corny, and Corny was pretty solid on his feet. I like Luce, and I like Bailey getting past Holmes. Bailey winning it. Matter of fact, Bailey's my pick to win the whole thing in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of Bailey's just hard to score on. That's the thing. I mean, he almost wrestles better on one leg than he does on two. And he causes a lot of frustration to people. But, yeah, no big surprises. Luce, McGee, Bailey, and Holmes.
Sounds good. Let's move on to 132. We'll start with Ed. We'll start moving in a little bit faster. 32, looks like a couple, you have Chad Red. That's who you don't want to draw onto. And then after that, I think it's kind of a pick-em as far as any of the others. Zach Mello, he's the next one, but he's going to have a tough quarter with Cody Wagner and DJ Brookbank. Ed, what are you looking at 132? Past Chad Red, because I think he might be decent.
He's won a match or two.
And quickly. If you blink, you're not going to see him wrestle, I don't think.
The top bracket with you never know what Nick Smith's going to come up and show up and wrestle. I feel like a lot of the smaller schools coming out of the Richmond Regional reminds me an awful lot of the years up in Portage where you go, who's the guy coming from Logansport Regional, because those guys can come up with, they got stellar records, and all of a sudden some guy comes up with a stellar record and murders everybody. And so you always get nervous with that of what's really going to come out. Mello's got big wins. He wrestles with confidence. Cathedral's program's phenomenal. The Parameridian guys aren't afraid of anybody. Wagner's got some bloodline that those guys are going to come in and expect to win every match they wrestle in. And the bottom bracket of that, there's some pretty good bloodlines in there too between Wheelover, Wright, and Flood. And like I said, then there's another Shenandoah guy where those guys just come in and they expect to win. And so, this is another one. I think everybody just likes to see Chad Red wrestle. It's almost art to watch him go and play his craft the way that he can play it, and the speed and the size and those types of things. And so this is a weight class that, I think a lot of people are going to bet their money on Chad Red to win, but there's some important matches that happen around that are going to have an impact on next week.
Definitely. Cameron, what's your take on Chad Red's weight?
yeah, this is Chad Red's.
Should we do over-unders on how much time he's going to spend on the mat?
Yeah, I mean, he's been phenomenal, and like I said, he was the best I'd ever seen at sectional level in my life. Just so dominant, it almost looked like it was scripted or something, man. It was crazy. But I think Red obviously is beyond a chalk favorite, and Mello is a real solid bet for number 2. But right off the bat, you got Wheelover and Wright, both ranked in the top 16, both faced pretty tough competition. I don't know if Wright's a little dinged up from last week or not. I think whoever wins that has a real solid shot to advance to state. Um, and then in the top portion of the bracket, that first bracket with Phillips, Smith, Diallo, and Collins, I think you can get a lot of different results out of that. Smith going to be there, as Ed said, ready to go. Skylar Collins has had some nice wins this year. He's a tough kid. Phillips has got that, amazing record. I don't know. I think Smith's the wild card there, but yeah, I think Red, Mello, and then kind of mystery after that.
How are you looking at that, Howie?
Yeah, like Cameron said, that top bracket, that's a crap shot there between Smith, Phillips, and Collins. I think Phillips in the offseason beat both of them, but I think Collins beat Phillips too. Matter of fact, at the same tournament, I think they exchanged wins. But that was off season. I got Smith making it out at that top bracket in Mello, and I think that Brookbank Mello match is going to be they've wrestled twice already. Pretty good matches. Well, the first one wasn't that great for Brookbank, but Brookbank closed the gap against Mello at the duel, and that was a heck of a match. So if he comes out, but I still got Mello making it out. Of course, Red, and then Flood against Wheeler. So those are the four I got making it out, with, of course, Red winning it.
Mike, any comments on 32?
Yeah, obviously Chad's amazing. He's proved that over and over. So I think Chad won, Mello two. I like Collins and Tim Wright Welliver. I think that's a good first round matchup. Welliver's one of his 3 losses was to Eric Owens, who obviously Wright beat and took his spot. So I mean that's a tough first round. I like Tony Flood in there. Tony Flood has a couple losses. I know he lost to Doster. I know he lost to Mello. So that's the 4 I have. Red, Mello.
Ooh. We'll start. We'll go to 138. We have the one bracket buster that we had between Eldred and Ellis. Past that, I mean, you have McKinney and Moore. Obviously, probably those two are probably the other guys that probably could have made it out of any other bracket. Cameron, let's have your rundown on this weight.
Sure. I think we were discussing earlier before we went live that Ellis and Eldred faced each other in the semis last year, and but he pinned Eldred on his way to the championship match. They're pretty evenly matched. Eldred took him this year in a close match. Ellis has got the infamous headlock, but he's more than that. He's well coached, emotional. Eldred's emotional in a different kind of way. He's not demonstrative, but he kind of rides his momentum, whether it's good or bad. So I think a lot has to do with how they're feeling that day. And I know that's cliche, but I think that's really true here when they're Kenny and Moore, I think will be a lot better match than maybe some people think. I think everybody automatically penciling in McKinney, but Moore's, I believe he qualified for state last year. He's good, and he's not gonna roll over for McKinney, that's for sure. The other two brackets are quite a bit more wide open. Smith, a Carmel, the Giant Killer, as they call him, as he took down McKinney a few weeks ago. Flood, this is supposedly the quote-unquote better Flood, but they're both pretty good. So I think that should be a heck of a ticket round match. I mean, if I had to pick, I'll take Smith. Again, maybe just a little biased by how much I've seen him and followed him, but that is a tough schedule, and I really feel like a lot of those Carmel guys are peaking. In the bottom bracket, I sort of went with an upset. I think that's a very wide open bracket with Lane coming in from East Central as the top seed. I think Hurley has from Perry Perry Meridian has a good shot to sneak in there as the fourth person to advance out of this semi-state.
Sounds
But I
good.
think Eldred has a good chance to win it with McKinney. I picked Eldred, but
Yeah, that one's going to be a fun one to watch. Howie, how do you see this one shaking out?
Yeah, like we were talking earlier, I actually got, I'll just make it kind of quick, I got Smith making it out that top bracket. I think it's going to be a great match between him and Flood. McKinney making it out past Moore and into the finals. Ellis past Eldred and making it into the finals. And I got Parameridian's Hurley, who's actually been wrestling really good as of lately. Hard nose, just stays after. He keeps all the matches pretty close until he gets on top. Real good on top. So I got those four making it out. Smith, McKinney, Ellis, and Hurley, with McKinney beating Ellis in the finals.
Mike, your comments?
Yeah, I got McKinney over Moore. I have Flood over Smith. I'm excited to even see the Frankton Cody Kleinheimer and Ellis first round. I think that'll be a little bit better than maybe everyone else is thinking. Cody's young, but I think he's had some good wins. Riley White, Logan Hurley will be good. I got Hurley, so I got McKinney, Eldred, Flood, Hurley.
So, Ed, any comments you see at 132 or 38? I mean.
Yeah. Obviously, McKinney's in a good spot in his bracket, but Connor Moore's a return to state qualifier, and he's wrestling with a lot of confidence right now. I think one of the brackets that everybody talks about when they look at the entire tournament is Eldred and Ellis, and and that's assuming that Klettenheimer's, it's not his first rodeo. That guy's been to a lot of places, been wrestling for a long time. And I think Eldred and Ellis is a fun match because those guys are constantly dangerous from anywhere. I mean, we used to call Eldred the assassin. And those two guys can put the skids on and keep it close, but if the two of them want to open it up, this could be a 1-0 match, or it could be an 18-17 match with each of them giving up multiple near falls. And so I think that's going to be one of, if I had to predict, it starts slow, but there's going to be some fireworks at the end because they can both scramble and they can both wrestle on the mat, and that should be a fun one to watch. And to be honest, on the bottom bracket, those aren't a bunch of guys that, people's names talk about a bunch. And, and you always get nervous of the Parameridian Senior coming into the semi-state as somebody that's going to be able to compete. But, we'll see how these turn out. But this one is a lot of fun. And then, looking at potential final matches, this is just going to be a good day of wrestling at this weight class for sure.
We'll go on to 145. Howie, the big one that kind of, there's a little bit of some good matches going on in the ticket round. What's your take?
Yeah, I think the Timberman and Idlejord match is going to be a good one, that ticket round match. I know Timberman's had obviously some huge wins and spent some time ranked number 1 in the state, and deservedly so, but he got banged up at regionals against Vaughn. He actually injury defaulted after, I think, somewhere midway through the second or third period, midway through the second or beginning of the third period. So I don't know how healthy he is, which could bode well for Idlejord. But I still got Timberman pulling that one off. Real interesting too, that second top bracket with Kane Russ and Boggs. That's going to be a good one, that first round. Although I'm going with Boggs, so I'm pulling that one out. And then just to face Motley. Motley's been tearing it up, really, since he came back. I guess he was injured at the beginning of the year. He didn't wrestle County, so we didn't get to see him at County, but he's been having a heck of a year this last half of the year. Vaughn, he's phenomenal. He pretty much controlled the match against Timmerman. It was close, but he was in no danger of losing that match. He also beat him at sectionals. So I got Vaughn winning semi-state, and that bottom bracket I got. I'm gonna butcher this name. I think is Nigelgard. I think Nigelgard, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but
Central kid.
what is it?
He's the kid from East Central.
Yeah, that's it. That's him. Just Andrew from East Central. I actually got him over Cohen or Cowan, or however you pronounce that. But and those will be my four: Timmerman, Motley, Vaughn, and or East Central kid, with Vaughn beating Timmerman in the finals.
Mike, what's your take on 145?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I cut out. Yeah, I'm not sure how banged up Timberman is. I mean, obviously I wasn't there. But, I mean, Tucker Kaufman won Connersville with the Carmel kid, Edel George. Is that how you say it?
It's Pecoraro.
So that's an interesting rematch. I would say Timberman. I mean, like I said, I don't know how injured he is. Obviously, he's had some bad luck at the semi-state, right?
Yeah, that kid doesn't need to buy any lottery tickets the week of semi-state. That's for sure.
No. I'm going with Rust, Vaughn, and I was impressed with Antoine Graves at IHWCA. I thought he really went out there and wrestled really, really tough. Kind of didn't back down. I'm still gonna go with Negengard from East Central, but I wouldn't be surprised if Graves kind of pull that one out.
Definitely. Ed, any comments? I know you came in with a regional champ and knew that you had the 1 in 3 chance of drawing into the Vaughn Timmerman loser. What do you think about that weight?
I can go through this weight, and there's a bunch of guys that's beaten Idle George. Tucker Kaufman is the guy that beat Idle George out at Connersville, and so that match and Timberman we'll watch pretty close. I think if Timberman is super healthy and firing at all cylinders, him and Vaughn have got some quality matches and some quality wins underneath them. I know that Lou's kid, Motley, is as athletic as anybody in the weight, and I haven't seen them all, but I'll take that guy's body over anybody. Reminds me of a young Joe Caprino.
Oh, I'm sure.
But, you go with the South Dearborn kid. Boggs has won some matches, and he's struggling to get past the East Central guy, as I use my social cues to not have to butcher a man's name, because his mom will probably email his coach bad things. No, but this is a way. Welcome to Indiana. The way without wrestlebacks and the semi-states, you got to just go to luck or draws, just trying to get guys through, and so you got to take those cards. You can complain about them while they're happening, or do something afterwards to try to get them fixed. But we'll play the cards we were dealt and watch some wrestling happen and see how this turns out.
Definitely, I know. I'm of the same. You gotta do it that draw. You can't do anything about it. You gotta go wrestle the matches. So, Cameron, any comments on 145?
I got the same 4 picks. As Ed was saying about Motley, Timberman and Vaughn both have. I mean, they have D1 collegiate wrestler bodies. They are so cut up and strong and quick twitch. They really just kind of blew me away with their physicality at the sectionals. And I think Vaughn is really stepped it up again like he did last year in the postseason. If we all remember, he was a surprise winner at semi-state last year. I don't think, a whole lot of people, that was a tough weight last year, and Vaughn was the best of the bunch, and then he rode that all the way to a runner-up finish. And I think Vaughn is and Timberman, if he's healthy, are both legit state title candidates. I mean, obviously they got work cut out for them, but I don't say that lightly. They are both really talented and really skilled.
Yeah.
Bill said they both feel like they're going to win every time they step out there. So.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good weight. I mean, the health of Timmerman's going to kind of play, how that whole weight goes, because if he's obviously injured defaulting, you don't know what if they just tweak something and don't want to mess with it for the next week or what. But we'll move on to 152. We'll start with you, Mike. Yeah, some decent matches here. Nothing that jumps out at me. The biggest one is Brett Johnson and Tresden O'Neill. That whole quarter bracket, you have the Blondeel kid from Attico, 3 losses. That still not sure how that guy is going to be. What do you think is going to go on at 152?
I honestly just thought you gave that Attica kid a nickname. I thought you called him the Blondeel. I didn't know his name. I just glanced at it. I don't know. Brett, I got Brett. I think O'Neill's had some tough luck at the semi-state too. Brett got knocked off in the last year by Isaiah Michaels. I like Eugene Starks in that matchup first round. Isaiah Michaels, Eugene Starks. Winner gets Jacob Ferris. I'm a Eugene Starks fan. I think that he's pretty tough. I always think he's always got surprising results for me. I got Berkebile and Trent Pruitt over the Lawrence North, Brian Carender. I got Pruitt, Johnson, Berkebile, Starks.
How you seen this, Ed? You actually don't have a guy here for once.
What's that?
Did you have a guy here for once?
Of the guys that I know here, Pruitt's won some huge matches. I think Carender and Pruitt had a close match in a duel. But you go with late in the year, the guy who's going to score points at the end of periods is a big deal. Starks has got some experience. He's got some great coaching at home. Ferris is a killer athlete and is going to keep himself in matches. I think Berkebile's got bigger wins than a lot of people here, and so to count him out in a Perry Senior with a good record looks pretty good. But O'Neill's going to be a threat from wherever he goes, and so this is a match. This weight class is one that I think your quarterfinal matches across the board are going to be pretty good, and we can all sit here and try to guess them. But I bet this one comes up with the surprise winners.
Definitely. Cameron, what's your take on this weight?
Yeah, I circled each of these ticket matches because I think they're all pretty interesting in one way or another. Carrender's not ranked. He's got some losses, but he is really firing on all cylinders. And, he beat Berkebile and O'Neill last week. You can't say that lightly. Pruitt is obviously, demonstrated that he can wrestle at the highest level, but, man, that is a really tough matchup for both of those guys. And, I think Pruitt's got to be the favorite based on his body of work, but as far as there's very few guys hotter than Carrender right now. So that's definitely got upset alert written all over it, even as good as Pruitt is. And then Ferris against either Michaels or Starks, that's a really interesting match. Ferris is, as Ed said, really athletic. He's also he's pretty scrappy. It's pretty physical with his hands, and he fights. That's really interesting to me. I could easily see either Ferris, Starks, or even Michaels. He surprised people last year at semi-state, advancing out of there. Berkebile, I think, is a solid favorite, but Waterman, has beat Michaels several times. Comes in as the champ. I don't think that's an easy match for Berkebile, but hard to bet against him based on what he's already done. Johnson and O'Neill should be a pretty challenging match for Johnson, but I think you have to favor him. And I think part of that has to do with the room and the schedule. O'Neill's got a real solid room, and they've wrestled some people this year, but Perry's Perry. And ultimately, I think Pruitt does get by Carrender, and I think he wins it. But I think that finals with Ian Berkebile or Johnston will be worth the price of admission. So, really, really interesting weight to me.
Howie, what's your take on the weight?
Yeah, that Carrender match right off the bat when I saw the brackets come out with Pruitt turned out to be a big match at regionals for Johnson to win that match because Carrender is wrestling really, really well. He's kind of funky, kind of all over the place. So, but I still got Pruitt making it out, and then Ferris over Starks, Burkabill over Waterman, um, and Johnson over O'Neill. I actually have Brett Johnson winning it against Pruitt again, meeting up in the finals, but those two go at it. I think this will be the third or fourth time they've wrestled this year. Um, Johnson's got the lead on that series, but Pruitt's obviously capable of pulling that off. They've all been good matches. But Brett is wrestling really, really good right now. Burkabill, I was big on him, but he took a couple losses last week to Carrender. But those are my four: Pruitt, Ferris, Burkabill, and Johnson.
Mike, any comments here?
I started off.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I can give you another one. I don't know.
we'll go on to 60. I lost
Okay.
track who he started with. We'll start you with 60.
Okay, let me look at it.
Got the big matchup: Austin Bain, Dominic Carrick, two state placers again, battling it out. One's going to be buying a ticket to Banker's Life. And then you have the other one: Noah Warren and Jake Ruberg. Another big one. What's your takes on 160?
I mean, yeah, the Ruberg and Warren is big. I mean, 3 losses between the two of them. Ruberg missed last year, obviously, with the knee. His 2 losses are to Bain. I think I got Ruberg. I got Bain, Ruberg, Lane Frazee from Fountain Central, and Sam Bublik from Carmel. I felt like I was going against all the Carmel guys, so I was kind of feeling bad. But I think this is a good draw for him, and I think that's a good spot.
Thanks for the sympathy vote.
Yeah, no, that's a good spot. I was trying to work it back in earlier, but I didn't.
Ed, what's your take on this weight? Anyone that you've seen that's jumping out that we're not talking about?
No, I can tell you my honest opinion, though. I think Ruberg into Warren stinks.
Mhm.
And again, it's welcome to Indiana wrestling. May the luck of the gods be on your side. Potential 2 and 3 in the state or in the same regional, and you draw into 4, and we can all name them over and over and over. And you go through the tournament, and it's exciting to watch, but the finality of it all kind of stinks. It's just this is where your season ends, and so that part it's unfortunate. And the same with Herrick coming in through Bain, and and so as it goes through, Frazee, we wrestled him last week, is a great, big, strong kid, and he's got a plan, and he's coming to win. And so I think watching these quarterfinal matches will be fun to watch, but when it's over, it's one of those you drive home and you go, man, you know what, that stinks, and because I've been on both sides of those, and it's terrible.
Yeah, we just talked a couple of them. You have a regional champ that you're hoping for a better draw, and you actually probably would have been better off getting second or third probably, which kind of sucks that you look back and say that. Cameron, what's your comments on this weight other than the draw stink?
Yeah, no, I think that Warren and Ruberg is probably, again, one of the top 2 or 3 ticket matches, and probably just matches period of the day at Newcastle. Frazee is a phenomenal athlete, and he's keeps his composure. I noticed that like Panola and maybe another guy really tried to kind of get rough with him, and I thought he maintained his composure real well. He's good. He's real impressive athlete. Just on a minor note, that Justice of Shelbyville, he looks so young, and he doesn't look like he has full man muscle, but here he is, good shot at making the ticket round at least. Real impressive to me. Bain, I think, has really just kind of ignited since the postseason last year. Herrick's no easy out. I'll say an upset watch is Frazee over Bain. Frazee hasn't lost this year, and kind of has that feeling that he's going to win, as Ed mentioned. Bain is Bain. He's proven it, but Frazee could give him all he wants and then some. I think Bublik's in a real good shot to advance, and Warren Ruberg, I don't know, I don't like it either. I mean, it's kind of entertaining, it's a great match, but it's a bummer that like Ed said, the finality of it all, that one of those guys' season's over, and they get to go to the state finals knowing that they should be there, quite frankly. And I guess for the sake of just picking somebody, I'd pick Warren, but wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Ruberg made it an all Richmond area final with he and Bain.
Howie, what's your take on 60?
Yeah, I agree with Cameron a lot. I mean, I think I got Warren over Ruberg, but Ruberg could easily it could be him and Bain in the finals again. With Ruberg maybe taking it and winning it, he could go from not making it to winning. So that's a tough one, of course, Bain and Herrick. But I got Frazee, Bain, Bublik. Is it Bublik or Bublik?
The man's name is Bublik. Or you
Okay.
can say he's the guy from Carmel.
Okay, the guy from Carmel. And Noah Warren. Those are my four. With actually, I got Warren, the mullet wearing Warren, Noah Warren winning it. So those are my four.
Fear the mullet.
That could be an exciting final if Warren and Bain are
And
there.
that's your buddy Alex.
Man, also look at all the underclassmen in that weight returning for semi-state.
Yeah, that'll be fun for next year too. I mean, I only count two seniors, and I'm not sure about the Lawrence, 3 seniors, and not even counting the I don't know what the Lawrence Central kid is. He has the ampersand there. Moving on to 70. Ed, we'll start with you. This one looks like, I just was looking ahead, and this looks like you could probably wrestle this about 10 times and get about 10 different winners. No one stands out, jumping out at you, but there's a lot of good guys. I know Desmond Goddard was a semi-state champ last year, got hot going into state, lost first round, but I mean, he was on fire at semi-state. Something about the Newcastle water there. He must felt good. What's your comments on this weight, Ed?
We've gone, this is our 3rd week in a row where 70 is who you pick them, from our sectional to our regional to now at the semi-state. There's a lot of things going on, the Westfield kid, and pay attention, Howie, because the man's name is Yagao.
Okay, got it.
But no, the Westfield kid is a guy that you're going, this guy's going to struggle to get out of the sectional, and he goes and wins it. And then he gets into the regionals, and you just draw them all through again, and it's a new group of guys. I know that the Lawrenceburg kid won some matches. Stan Ball's beaten some people. He's lost to some people. Goddard won the semi-state last year, and so Samuels is ridiculously hard to score on, and he's athletic, and so yeah, I don't want to bet this one. In my strength pool, this one's 14.
How are you looking at this, Cameron? I'm sure across the board, everyone's going to be doesn't want to touch their picks with the 10-foot pole here, because you could get all 4, you could get 0.
Yeah, this certainly has all the variability in it. I mean, Stan Ball last year kind of surprised at semi-state. Again, got hot. I think Trammell's got some nice wins this year. He could be big trouble for Stan Ball. Stan Ball is definitely a guy that kind of goes on his emotion. He gets real aggressive. Goddard's got to be a favorite in his group. Somebody taking a leak, or?
He's starting a math.
And then in that next bracket, you got 3 guys ranked in the top 15. You got Hill of Lawrenceburg, Webster of Northmont, and Warren of Perry. That's a pretty nasty portion of the bracket. I think any of those 3 guys could win it. Webster's, to me, kind of a dark horse to come out of that group. Samuels, I think, has got to be the favorite, but, like Mazzaro, he was a different guy at regional than he was, before. He just seemed like quicker. quite frankly. I don't know how that exactly happens, but for whatever reason, he was a different guy. But I think it'll be Samuels. I'm going to pick Stanball over Goddard, but Stanball may not even be in that match because Trammell might be there. But yeah, this is wide open. I think Webster could win the weight class. I think Warren could win it. Goddard, take your pick.
Is this bothering you?
Howie, what's your take on this weight?
Yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna. It's kind of like pin the tail on the donkey. Just close your eyes and stick it on somewhere. I just went with Goddard or Stanball, Goddard, Webster, and Samuels. But like everyone's saying, Hill could easily come right in and win that whole thing. Trammell too. I mean, he's pretty tough. But yeah, I'm going with Goddard winning against Webster and Samuels and Stanball in the other part of the semifinals.
Yeah, Mike, what's your take here?
I got Samuels, Goddard, Stahlbaum, Christian Warren. Pretty clean cut.
Yeah.
Charlie Hill, Warren will be good. I think Webster, Warren. I think that'll be a tough bracket. I like Samuel. I've seen him a little bit at Dallas Smith. Seen him at the Trikoff. Seen him at ISSWCA. That dude's thick for 170.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a guy you want 170s to look like.
Yeah, that one's gonna take out 2-year ranked guys. So you gotta hope for some other help elsewhere in the rankings and the results this week. We'll
Those
start
guys are ranked, right? Is Stahlbaum not ranked anymore? He was on the borderline if he wasn't.
in that quarter bracket of Hill, Webster, and Warren.
I mean, that happens. We don't rank. We talk about that all the time. We don't rank it like that.
So,
I
Cameron,
could put all 9 of those guys in.
we'll go to 182. We got a pretty clear-cut favorite in Ripel. Past him, you have Cameron Jones, Caleb Hoots. That's a state qualifier versus placer match ticket round. I'll let you dissect the bracket. Cameron?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think right off the bat, that first group is really, really competitive. You got Blount as regional champ. Simmons has got some real nice wins this year. Worm is a defending state qualifier. Has wrestled a lot of people. Has had some nice wins not only this year but throughout his career. I picked Simmons in an upset, but honestly, take your pick of the 3 of those 4 guys. I think Cam Jones has got a nice path to the finals. I think he'll beat Hoots. Obviously, Rappel's, strong favorite to win it all. Irick looked real strong at regionals. He pinned Worm and, just looked better than I've seen him in the past. Again, semi-state's a new day, and sometimes you see these guys who split matches, weird things happen. But, I think Rappel and Jones in the finals, and like I said, I picked Simmons in an upset, but easily could be Worm, could be Blount.
Howie, what's your take on this weight?
Yeah, yeah, that Simmons. I agree with Cameron that Simmons could easily be in that top 4 in that quarterfinal. But I went with Warm. I mean, he's the returning state qualifier. I went with Warm, Jones, Irick, and of course Rappel, with Rappel winning it against Jones. Another match between those two. I think Rappel pinned him last week, but I'm not sure how that all went down. But Jones has given him a good match this year, so I'm thinking those 2 will be in the finals with Rappel pulling it off.
Mike, what's your take past Mr. Right Hand?
Rappel Jones off top. I think those guys are. That could be, all the way down the road. Obviously, those guys are both extremely talented. I got Worm over Simmons, Worm over Blount, and then I have Spencer Eric.
Nice.
So I got Rappel, Jones, Eric, Worm.
Ed, I hope everything came out all right.
What?
Sounded like you had to wash your hands. What's your take on Mr. Ripel and then the Jones matchup? I think it's about match number 8. It seems of those 2 wrestling. Past that at 182.
I think the exciting one to watch is what happens in that top quarterfinal bracket. There's three guys there that can win, and welcome to the postseason. And I think this is, kind of what semi-state's about. Those three guys, whoever wrestles well, expects to win, and makes good choices, are going to find themselves on the top. I know that. I don't remember seeing Walker before, but the Warren guy and Simmons and Worm, those guys got a plan. They've got athletic ability, and going to watch some guys fight it out to see who's going to get to the state tournament is pretty fun to watch. Jones, Irick, and Ripel, I think a lot of people would be surprised if they didn't make it through. And so, watching them guys compete afterwards, I'm going to look forward to watching that one.
Definitely. We'll move on to 195. Howie, we'll let you start. This one looks like it's going to be a fun weight. You have, all the champions here look pretty good, and these are guys that, you have two undefeated guys, then you throw in a state runner-up, and then Nick Fox with his Carroll connections. He has a little Carroll blood in him, so let's Howie, how do you...
His name is pronounced Fox.
Fox.
Okay. I knew it couldn't just be a simple fox. I got Fox winning that top quarter, making it, punching his ticket through, and he'll be facing Tante. The bottom one, that's going to be a tough one. Stewart's tough. He's undefeated. I think Slavens is going to give him a go. I would not be a bit surprised if Slavens beat Stewart, but I still have Stewart winning that one. And then that Fox Tante again, that's going to be a good one. I do got Tante pulling that one out. And Stewart against Cavins, two undefeateds. So I'm not sure if they've ever wrestled before or recently, but I'll take Cavins over Big Ben and Tante with the championship.
Sounds good. Mike, what's your take on this weight?
I have some interesting tick-around matches. Fox and Leslie, I think, would be good. I have Fox advancing there. Tante Schaefer, first round. I saw Nick Schaefer first time. I thought he looked pretty good. I'm surprised that he's fourth there. That's a tough draw for him. But I have Tante. Slavens Burton, first round, I think, would be a good match. Burton has 10 losses, but I think, he's had some quality matches. Slavens is tough. I got Stewart qualifying. And then Ferris and Cavins, I think, could be pretty good. I got Cavins. I got Tante, Stewart, Cavins, Fox. Fox, Cavins. I'm not sure. I got Fox, Cavins.
Ed, you're gonna get me fired. Get me run out of Carroll if I pronounce that name. If you guys didn't know, Nick Fox's grandpa coached at Carroll for about 85 years, I think. So. So I got tread lightly there. What's your take on here? Looks like everyone got separated. Some good matches. Tante comes in with 3 losses, but those aren't any slouches either. How do you see this one playing out?
I think kind of what stands out for us is the bottom bracket. If you look at Cavins and Ferris, and assuming they win their first round matches, Cavins with his Greco-Roman background and Ferris with his athletic ability, and he's not afraid to mess around and scramble in there. I think that'll be an entertaining match to watch. Keep your cameras ready because there's going to be some scrambles in that match at some point because Cavins will make it happen. And Ferris is not afraid of it, and so I think that'll be an exciting round to watch. If you go with the quarterfinal bracket up, Slavens and Burton is going to be a good match, and Coach Swain's going to have some guys ready, and then get into Ben Stewart, who is a big tough kid that's going to expect to win, and so I think those are matches we're definitely going to watch super close, and we'll let the top half of the bracket turn out the way it is. There's a lot of people up there that can wrestle, and hopefully it's exciting to watch as I try to go Kirk Herbstreit and have no opinion.
No, I'm sure you and Tante, Coach Tante and Tristan Tante, you have a little bit of a. You guys have wrestled a few times and coached against each other, so I'm sure that'll be a competitive match if you guys wrestle in the semis. We'll have some good game plans. Um, Cameron, what's your take on 195?
Well, just to follow up, there's 8 ranked wrestlers, 8 ranked in the top 18, and as far as Schaefer, he finished fourth, but he finished behind 3 guys ranked ahead of him. So it's really more an issue of just what a tough regional that was, and a tough sectional actually. Ed's guy Fox is 195 pounds and nasty. He looks mean. He wrestles mean. When he wrestles you, you stay wrestled. He puts the hands on you, and I basically he's a hard-working guy, and he's going to give Tante a nice match. And I do expect Tante to get by Schaefer and the rest of his bracket. Schaefer's tough. He's just kind of had misfortune and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. 3 ranked guys in Stewart's group, but I think Stewart is kind of the class of that group. Slavens is good and Burton's good, but Stewart has to be favored. He did lose to Tante, I believe, in the ticket round a couple years ago there. But that happens. Cavins and Ferris should be one of the better matches of the day as well. Cavins has to be favored simply by his record and maybe his accomplishments, but Ferris has the ability to beat anybody. But I do expect Tante to win, Stewart to be runner-up, and some combination of Cavins and Fox.
Stewart's had some brutal draws in the ticker round. He had Tante as a freshman and then Paris last year.
Yeah.
Cavins hasn't had much. I mean, it could be a battle of the worst ticket round draws of all time. 'Cause he's had some pretty rough runs too, I think. So that's a common theme, I think, out at Newcastle. It sounds like.
Well, I think that,
And Hippo wrestled in the round to go last year.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
so, semifinalist.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to the depth of the semi-state. I think that the depth is, you're going to have so many guys that are going to, be high medalists, and they're going to knock off guys that, could medal also.
Yeah. We'll move on to 220. This will be a fun one. You got Ryan Gould, Hipple, and Mason Paris all of there. We'll start with you, Mike. What's your take on this fun weight?
I start at the bottom quarter. I have, Walter Hare. I thought he had some really good results. He just kind of got in the same bracket as a buzzsaw in Mason Paris. I'm excited to see Paris, not this weekend, but next weekend. I know a lot of people are penciling him in for a finals. He'll have a tough semifinal with Hipple. I think that might be the most athletic quarter with Carr, Knox Abbott, and Hippo. Those guys are all pretty good athletes, in my opinion. And then I'm going to go Scott Fuller from Zionsville. I know he doesn't have a lot of matches. He has some losses. I know he's battled some injuries this year. He wrestled up at heavyweight some. And I got Goal over McCline in the take around up there. So I got Paris, Goal, Hipple, Fuller. I don't think anyone would be happy to draw that semi-state of the other semi-states.
Definitely, that's one of the better ones. Ed, what's your take here? Another pretty good weight class, and you have a pretty good wrestler returning 4th place finisher knocking on the door there.
I think I'm more impressed with Mike's ability to butcher names. You didn't get half of those right.
I got Paris right.
That's bad.
Hey, you didn't mispronounce Hipple's name. There's a Hypal.
Hipple, Fuller. That one was better.
Mason Paris he's an anomaly. He's unbelievable, and so watching him compete is fun to watch. He plays the game the way the game is supposed to be played. I think one that we will watch close is McLean and Gould.
Yeah.
Is how you say their names, Mike.
Not McLean and goal. All right.
No, but McLean is a young buck who is not built like a young buck, and he gave Hippo all he wanted last weekend, and we're going to compete against Poole. We'll see how that match goes. And the second quarterfinal bracket down, that's going to be a fun one to watch. I think Cardinal Ritter's not a place known for its wrestling program, but they've got a guy coming through that's beating some people. And, Fuller's a threat everywhere you go. I think, 82, 95, 220 out at the North Montgomery Regional, was pretty competitive. And Carmel was pretty lucky to have a champ at 95 and 220. But I can tell you there were two matches in there that, we were concerned about winning. And so, I think that tells you the depth that comes out of the North Montgomery Regional at times. I think, at this time of year, a lot of people start to compare regionals and sectionals and things like that. And, the place that we came out of isn't going to throw out the number of state champions that other regionals are going to throw out. But I will take the fourth place finisher in the Frankfurt sectional and the North Montgomery Regional against any other fourth place finishing school or regional, just because of the amount of depth that it has in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that throws into semi-state's going to get you some quality matches in here, and I think 220 is another spot we get to see that.
Cameron, what's your take?
Whatever the opposite of the golden ticket is, that's what Walter Hare drew. Finishes a real solid second to returning state placer in Gould, and gets Paris in his ticket round match. That's just nasty. I feel really bad for him because he has had a great year. I think Hippel's in real good shape to advance. Obviously having Paris on your side is just kind of one of those things. Not much you can do about that. And yeah, he can beat him. I mean, he's not invincible, but Paris is kind of special. I believe you would label that. I think Kaiser and Fuller could be a really good match. Ethan Brigham surprised last year from Ritter. Was it the year before? I don't know. But he comes in as a champ, as a regional champ. Fuller's had a kind of abbreviated season, so that should be real interesting. I think Fuller's, with his state experience, has to be the favorite. McLean, as Ed said, is a man-child. He is that is some kind of body he's got on a very young on a young guy. Physically, he's right there with Gould. Gould experience, and wrestled real well last year at semi-state. So I think you'll go Paris, Gould, Hipple, and Fuller. I think Hipple would probably be my pick. Obviously, he's the second best, but he's on the wrong side of the tracks. Hey, my phone might die too. If I black out, it's nothing personal. It's not charging for some reason.
Okay. How do you see this 220?
I think the best first round match is going to be Carr from LN and Knox Abbott. It's going to be a tough one, but unfortunately, whoever wins is going to draw into Hipple. But that's going to be a good first match. I'm actually going against my rankings, and I'm actually going to take McLean over Gould. Did I say that right, Ed?
Yeah, you got it both. Good job, Howie.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to take McLean over Gould. Even though I got Gould ranked higher in the semi-state rankings, but McLean he's tough. He's young and he's tough. He's been wrestling all year. Gould played football, but he should be in wrestling shape by now. But I'm still taking McLean. I got Fuller over Kaiser. But that kid's tough. I got to watch him at sectionals and regionals, and he's going to give everybody fits. Big, strong kid, good athlete. Then I got Hipple over Knox Abbott, and of course Paris over Hare. Who Hare's, like you said, has had a great season. Unfortunately, he's drawn into Paris, but I got Paris winning it with McLean in the finals. So those are my top two, and then Hipple and Fuller.
Sounds good. We'll go to 285. We may have lost Cameron. We'll start with you, Ed. The the matchup that I'm looking at is Robert Samuels versus Jason Brogan, both qualifiers last year at this weight. What's your take on this weight? And did your Williams guy make it through? I can't tell.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Williams made it.
What was his nickname? Was he the I can't remember your nickname that you were
He's
called.
the juggernaut.
The Juggernaut. Okay.
Don't you know who I am?
So how's this weight looking? What do you see here? That I mean, heavyweight's always one of those fun weights that anything can happen. It's whoever falls on top of who in some of these matches. One wrong step and your season's done here.
You know, most of the time when we're coaching heavyweight, heavyweight is an awful lot of risk management. And, this looking at the semi-state as a whole, that's usually the case, except for Robert Samuels. He's going to go take it to you, and he's going to be an athlete. And it's definitely an awful lot of fun. Can he manage risk? Brogan's got some matches underneath him, and those guys have wrestled each other already. And, that's going to be a fun one to watch to see how it comes through. But, then again, it's a heavyweight. And so, you never know what's going to come through in a weight class. I think everybody watched Trawick and Riddle last year in the semi-state. How fun of a match was that, where Trawick comes out as the man can bench press cars, and Riddle's body isn't going to blow anybody away, but he's staying around and he's fighting to win the match. And so, it's heavyweight wrestling at the high school level, and so, Robert Samuels is an awful lot of fun to watch. He's going to go score points, he's going to get himself into positions, and he's going to go be an athlete. And can, from what I've seen of the guys here, obviously I haven't seen everybody, but who's going to manage risk the best? Who's going to take risk when it needs to be taken? And I think a part that you look at the end of the day, there's a lot of team points involved here, and for not just this weekend, but for next weekend. And so coin flips and who ends up on top and who manages risk, could potentially pick your team state champion out of some matches this weekend.
Definitely. I mean, that's I think I saw a kind of mental note of a lot of these matches where you see Warren, Perry, see where they have some tougher draws. It's one of those things that you can't make a mental note that their chances at winning state could be drastically reduced. I know Perry kind of hit a wall last year at semi-state and went from probably being a contender to, I can't remember, pretty low. I think they only had like 5 qualifiers or something like that. Is that correct? Something a lot lower than they usually have, and it kind of wasn't what you call a good. Say that again.
So you're bringing up bad memories for Howie right now.
Sorry.
That was we had a complete meltdown at semi-state last year. I can't remember a worse semi-state since I've been watching Perry wrestle.
Yeah, and that's something that people don't think that there's momentum in wrestling, but I know that you get one kid that pulls a little bit of an upset, it can carry the rest of the team the rest of that day, and those are some big matches. You have that little extra self-esteem and being excited. So, Howie, how are you looking at this weight? Pretty even top to bottom.
Yeah, right off the bat, the Brogan Samuels match. That's a shame one of them's going home. But like Coach P said, Samuels I think he's ahead of the class at this semi-state. He's got the body type of, not like most of the heavyweights in this semi-state. So Brogan Samuels is going to be a heck of a match, I think, with Samuels coming out on top. The kid from LC, Bunce, he's not a big heavyweight, but he's pretty agile. I saw him at County. I was real impressed with him. I think he makes it out, and those will be the two on the top bracket, Samuels and Bunce, with Samuels making it to the semis. The third part of the bracket down here, the top part of the bottom bracket, is it Means? Am I in Means or Mingus?
Mingus.
It's the guy from Union County.
Okay, you know what I should have learned by now. The guy from Union County. He's got a good record. I hear a lot of good things about him, but I'm going to do a homer here and take Riddle. I know he's going against, is it the Juggernaut?
That's the juggernaut.
So he's going against the Juggernaut first round, which will probably be a really good match. But I'm going to take Riddle, make it out of that top-bottom bracket, and then Pfeiffer from Tipton. Looks like he had a heck of a regional, and I got him facing off against Samuels, but I got Samuels winning it this time, and so I got Samuels, Bunce, Riddle, and Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I saw that Pfeiffer kid last year at Yorktown, and he's pretty well built, big guy, and moved pretty well. I didn't know who he was until I had to look back and say, oh, okay, this guy's not too bad. Mike, what's your take on this weight?
Doing? like everyone just kind of rehashed what everyone said. Brogan and Samuels is kind of a tough one. I think the winner of that match will win the semi-state. I also have Samuels. Jason, I think is it's tough. He's had some good wins. I know he's beaten Sutton. I got Bunce also. He was Al Smith runner-up. I also have Chris Riddle. Chris Riddle, real scrappy. I really like Chris Riddle. I think that he like Ed was saying, I think he takes a lot of calculated risks. He stays in good position. And then I'm going to go with Dan Pfeiffer from Tipton also. I haven't seen him. He's found 42 guys to beat, so only 2 guys have beat him. I'm going to put him in there.
Okay, looks like pretty good. Any comments on the team race by Warren Central, Perry, and Cathedral are the ones that we're talking about. You look at all those 3 that they all have some of those matches that you just want to, cross your fingers that they make it through, get some extra pins. Ed, any comments on the team race?
I think the draw gods didn't treat Warren Central the greatest. And so, with that being the case, you look at Cathedral's going to score some points. Pear Meridian's got the opportunity to score some points. Lawrence North's going to score some points if they can get hot. But I think team race-wise, it's looking like it's Warren Central's to take control of.
Any comments on the team race there, Howie?
Yeah, I agree with Ed. I mean, I think Warren Central's going to win it. If Perry can squeak out some of those tough ticket round matches, we have a better semi-state than we did last year. I think Perry will give Warren a run for their money, but I think and Cathedral's going to be right there. I think Warren Central's going to win it.
Okay, Mike. Any last comments? If you don't, on either the team race or any last comments.
I don't know if I can butcher any team names, but I can try. Cathedral is going to have a lot of horses, so some of those ticket round matches, especially 13, 32 with Perry, those are kind of going to be big swings. Warren, when you bring a ton of guys like that, it's going to be a good day. You have a lot of chances. They're going to bring. But then you look at like Samuels and Jason, Brogan in the ticket round at heavyweight. That could be a huge swing. That's going to be a good race. But it usually is a pretty tight race over there with those guys, and you got some really good programs battling out. Shenandoah had a nice showing. I've seen a lot of Shenandoah in the bracket. I don't know if they're gonna pull enough guys through to make a real good push, but I know that they brought a lot of guys, which for a small program is really good.
Yeah, that's good to see. Any last comments? We'll start with you, Howie. Any last comments on the semi-state? Any words of wisdom? Any shout-outs? I guess it's time we get our shout-outs out.
Well, I don't know if I got any words of wisdom. When we got Coach P on the other line, pretty much he has the reins on that one. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. There's just tons of. I mean, this is the type of semi-state you don't want to miss the first round. Not just the ticket round, but the first round, because there's so many good matches that's going on in the first round, and of course so many pivotal matches in the ticket round. So everybody's pretty much going to be glued to their seat from beginning to end. But I'm excited for it, and hopefully Perry Meridian can pull it off and win when they can, and win the ones they're supposed to, and pull out some W's.
Mike, any comments?
You know, this is definitely one of those things where you look and you see like a lot of positions for wrestlebacks, and I know that's always a topic. But I mean, every round you kind of line it up, and this becomes a blind draw here. I think that this is there's a lot of matchups here that really should be a wrestleback, even if you're just doing ticker round to a true third. No shout outs, anything like that. Sorry to everyone I butchered your name. That's what I do.
Ed, any words of wisdom? I know you've shot out definitely a nickel's worth at least so far.
Well, I feel obligated to insult Cotty, but there's so many opportunities to do that right now. I'm missing my opportunities for the best one. No, I think whenever we get into semi-state week, and when I was up north, it was the same at Maryville. You know, it's semi-state. This is where, you know, I guarantee you that Saturday night everybody's driving home down I-70 saying, man, I can't believe fill in the blank happened. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that's what makes sports great. You know, it's an opportunity. The boys get out there and they compete, and those that make attempts and have confidence do well, and those that don't, they don't. And, you know, it's what's exciting is, you know, you get to a place where you got a bunch of people think they can win, and all the kids that don't think they win, they got beat last week or the week before. And, you know, it's just fun, and it's what's great for our sport, and it's a great environment. And, you know, I'm excited all week long. How much longer till Saturday's here?
About 4.5 days. To that first whistle. So yeah, I'm pretty excited too. I know this week's, you know, you're trying to get some information on guys, and you're trying to, you know, is that 42-1 record? How good is that? Who they beat and who they lost to? Those types of things. As a coach, I know I looked at that, and the draws always, you know, my wife was hearing me like, ooh, yes, you know, all throughout, you know, all of our draws. She's like, what's going on? They go, I'm just looking at the brackets. It's like, okay. So with that, we will be back tomorrow night, hopefully a little bit shorter, with the East Chicago, Mike's home area. We'll have Carl Hungus as our special guest. Definitely want to thank Ed Bendowski for joining us, Cameron Drury, and Howie Cotty for coming on, and Mike, he'll be back tomorrow night. So thank you guys, and we will see you guys all tomorrow.